Hey, what's happening, Facebook? I hope everybody's having as good a week as you can have. I mean, you know what I mean? There's a lot of good things that can be said about the week so far. There's a pile of bad things as well, I'm sure. I'm trying to get my lighting right here, so just bear with me. But, things are changing. And tonight we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about things that are changing. And what should be changing and what is changing is the people. I'm going to tell you, I interact with a lot of people, not a lot of people, but quite a few, and complete strangers from all different demographics and just everywhere. And I'm going to tell you, people are waking up. People are waking up. And tonight's topic is what to do when you wake up. What do you do? What do you do when you start figuring out this stuff? Huh? Well, we're going to talk about that tonight. I'm going to basically tell you what I did. And again, join us. It's going to be a great call tonight. I hope everybody's doing good. We're going to get started here probably in about... we get started at 6. But I like to make sure we get everybody on. And everybody out there in Facebook land is like, oh, there's Tim, he's on, and maybe they'll get ready or do whatever they do. Whatever your regimen is out there. But anyway, I'm just glad that you guys do join. And this would be absolutely no fun without you guys. So definitely appreciate you guys being here. Appreciate all the likes, all the great comments that we get every week. We appreciate it. I honestly do. And, we're doing good. So there's some on-hold music that's playing right now. And it's because there's a couple ways you can participate in this call. You can do it old school. That's right. Old school means calling a phone number without any special anything. Okay, you just call the number. I pay extra just for that. Just so you can just call right in. It's not a problem. And it doesn't even cost that much extra, so it's no big deal. Call in 1-888-570-7020. Now that number, which is also at the bottom of the screen, by the way, that particular number will also be available, so you guys can call in. You can talk. I'm sorry, lost my train of thought there. But anyway, I'm stumbling. I'm coming back. Anyway, you guys can call in. We can talk. Okay, if you have long questions or anything like that, or something that's a little more than, like the kids do these days. So, but if you don't, those of you guys out in Facebook land, if you want to type it up, you can do that too. Don't want anybody to construe this as legal advice. This is absolutely, unequivocally not legal advice. But what this is, it's personal stuff. So anything that I talk about that might be court related, anything that I talk about, like I said, that has anything to do with court, anything, any kind of court laws, anything like that, it's usually because I'm right in the big middle of it. So what I'm telling you and the information that you're going to be hearing, and this is my disclaimer, is going to be based on information that I've personally been involved in with myself. So I'm just merely a witness to the statements made there. Anyway, so don't want anybody to construe this as legal advice. And no, this is not for entertainment purposes only. You know what? Go to Netflix. There's lots of other places you can be entertained at. And I'm almost certain there's somebody else on Facebook right now besides myself that will probably entertain you better. This is not an entertainment channel by any means. We do this for the purpose of enlightenment. We do this so people know what the truth is. Yahweh, when he sent his son to die, and he came here, and before he died, he told his people, and he continues to tell us through his word, that we should go out and preach the gospel. And the gospel simply just means truth. So let me get us muted here. Oh, my goodness. Oh, that's really strange. Something's going on here. This is a different board that I'm used to seeing. Well, bear with me, Facebook. We'll get this figured out. Hold on a second. We'll get this figured out. Let's see. All right. Let's see. I don't know what happened here. All right. I don't know. I'm going to try to log back in. We'll see if we can get it back in. So we're going to leave the room. That's right. We're going to try to log back in here. Sorry about that. And and this happens like every Monday. Every Monday there's always some reason not to do the call. And you know what? It's Yahweh that let's see if we can do this. We can allow that. Alright, so we are going to join. Hopefully we've got some folks on the call. So we're calling in, recalling back in. Now I got this weird screen again. Okay, bear with me, guys. I don't know what all this is, but anyway. Oh, I think I can figure out how this is. It's just a little bit different. A little bit different how we're doing things right now, okay? All right, so we got a new screen. Things are changing, like right now. So really glad to hear that's going on. Let me unmute myself here so everybody else can hear me. Hopefully all the callers can hear me. So I'm going to welcome you to tonight's call. We're going to get started here. I always say that we start at 6 p.m., but truly and honestly, I start at 6:04. It's just my number. I don't know why, but that's what I do. And so we'll get started at 6:04, actually. But just plan on 6. And, maybe we can talk about something. Maybe something will come up. Who knows? Anyway, so that'll get started. So if you got time, make some time. This is going to be a good call. You guys are going to learn some stuff. I'm going to blow your mind. Those of you guys that don't know anything about this, put on your seatbelts. You're going to love this one. This is going to be a good call tonight. So like I said, it's 5:50 right now. Actually, it's 5:53 by my Apple here. And I'm going to go with that one, 5:54. So we'll get started here in just a little bit, like 10 minutes. So hang tight, man. You guys got time to water the dogs, wipe the kids, hug them, squeeze them, tell them you love them, send them to bed, do whatever you do. You got time. So we definitely got time for that. So I just want to welcome everybody. And wow, Zach James, buddy, good to see you, man. Good to see you guys. And I love the Ferrari, Daniel's Ferrari. Man, it's good stuff, man. That's what's up. I bet you that thing definitely gets some looks. Lots of things have changed, my man. Still rocking it out, still playing some music, but it's all private, man. Everything's all about Yahweh now. It's all about one God. It's all about just Him, and that's it. Nobody else. And we just give praise, honor, and glory to Him tonight. So, but anyway, just want to welcome everybody that's here on the call. And tonight, Zach, this is and all is well, brother. But tonight, Zach, you ought to stay on this call. This call is going to blow your mind. And I'm going to tell you what, this information that I'm going to tell you guys tonight was enough to blow my mind so much. I don't even play music anymore live. And this is something I've done my entire life. I play 13 different instruments. And I was in the middle of cutting my second fully self-produced solo CD ever. And, I'd ever done. Music was done. It was written. We were jamming with Zach next door. We were playing clubs. We were doing it. And then all of a sudden, you know what? Yahweh had another plan. And on August the 15th, 2015, I had an experience. And that experience changed my life. It changed everything. And instead of complaining about our political system, I had eyes that could see. I had eyes and I had ears that could hear, and a mouth that could speak, and a mind, most importantly, that could understand. And, I learned this, and I'll tell you what, it's been good walking with God. Yahweh is faithful. He's just. And we'd love for you to be on the call tonight. So stay put, man. This is going to be some good stuff. And this is about world stuff. Yes, it's about Yahweh too. And because He's the creator. So it's got to be about Him. And everything comes back to Him ultimately. But it's about how this affects everything. Okay? And what's really happening and what's really going on. And people around the country right now, they're feeling this shift that's going on in our country. It's going on in our money. It's going on in our fast food. It's going on everywhere. And for some people, they're hiding in their houses. And for some people, they're waking up. Oops, I'm kind of like giving away the show here, so I'm going to stop. I'm going to shut up. So, but anyway, join the call, man. We're gonna get started here in about 7 minutes. And I've been doing this every Monday night. Well, I've been doing this every week. We've changed it like Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, but it's been on Mondays for a while. But I've been doing this for 6 years. And this is something I never thought I would ever do I never thought I would address this many people without a guitar and a microphone. That's truth. That's real truth. So, Yahweh can do anything, and he can do it. So, look what he did, and he did it. So, if he did it with me, he could do it with you. And I'm not saying everybody should stop playing music, because music is important and it's good stuff. But my priorities definitely really changed dramatically. And tonight I'm going to be sharing that experience. I'm going to be sharing with you the things that I saw 6 years ago that I was waking up to. And I'm going to talk about some of the current events that people are waking up to today. I'm going to talk about that today and tonight. And so it's really going to be a great call. So this is all off the cuff. There's no operator standing by. There's nobody that wrote my script for me or anything like that. This is just what's up. And this is really, really good stuff. And I think we're in the day and age where we can appreciate these sorts of things. So join us. It's really going to be worth your time. I promise it'll definitely be worth your time. And we've got so much going on. Man, this whole world's just going nuts right now, isn't it? It is. It really is. And I'm just going to stop right there because I'm about to take off and run right into this whole thing. So I don't want to do that. I want to spoil it for everybody that showed up on time. Glad that you guys showed up early, though. That's what's up. I appreciate it. And by the way, and Zach, since all this has happened, I'm an ordained minister now, for real, with all the good stuff. And I also, what else? What else are we doing now? See, yes, of course. And then we have the House of Yah Community Outreach. That's right. I'm the director of the House of Yah Community Outreach. We are a nonprofit organization, and we help the public. That's right. And this call tonight is brought to you by the House of Yah Community Outreach. See, even with music. Anyway, this call is brought to you by the House of Yah Community Outreach. And just to get it all out of the way, we're reserving all of our rights for assembly, freedom of speech, and freedom of religion, and freedom to congregate, and all that. So, and all the other rights that I didn't mention, we reserve those too. Just getting that out of the way, just want to make sure we got that covered in case those fact checkers out there in Facebook land come after me. Jeez, man, that's like, watching those and I can talk about this because we got like 4 minutes before we're going to get started. So get your water, get whatever. I should probably get some water. I'll be right back. I'm going to go get some water. Be right back. Hey, thanks for being patient, everybody. Gotta have the water. Gotta follow my own advice, right? So totally, man. Get your water. We're going to get started here in a couple of minutes. I appreciate everybody joining us tonight. Like I said, we're going to be talking about what to do when you wake up. 2020. What's waking us up right now? What's happening out there? Huh? Lots of things. Lots of things. Lots of details. Yeah. And we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about details. What are details, really? Are they derivatives? Are they alternatives? But most importantly, what they really are is they're ways to trap you. Most importantly, that's really what they really do. Is they that's used in our speech to obligate the other party. That's right. So anyway, lots of good stuff going on out here in South Texas. We're digging it. The weather is stupid hot. No, people are not like falling like flies out here. I guess like they're saying it on the news. I think they're afraid these people are going to go vote or something. I think that's what they're really worried about, but who knows. But I do want to welcome everybody else to the call. Let's see. Wow. That's right. I want to welcome everybody else to the call that's jumping on the call. Anyway, everybody else will get started here in like 2 minutes. Tonight's call, like I said, is going to be about what to do when you wake up. What do you do? What do you do when you figure out that none of this stuff is what they said it was? What do you do when you figure out what the Civil War really how the Civil War really happened? What do you do when you find out how Kennedy got shot and who shot him? Some people don't even know that, but it's public information. People know that. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. What do you do with that stuff, right? And I just want to welcome everybody jumping on the call right now. Everybody's popping on. This is the 2-minute countdown for tonight's call. And like I said, we're going to be talking about what to do when you wake up. What do you do? So I'm going to point out some abstract and some just judicial notice, really, just normal stuff of just things that are just happening. On my things to read this week. This is my book I'm reading this week, everybody. You guys want to know? All right, we got 1 minute. We're going to get started here in just a minute. But those of you guys want to know what I'm reading this week, this is what I'm reading this week. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. If you guys want to write that down, it's a really good, great book. I'm enjoying it. I am, and most importantly, I'm enjoying it because this book says exactly what I teach. Like, check. I'm reading it and I'm just validating my own processes, going, this is just awesome. And they're not, and I want you guys to know that they're not really my processes. Anyway, all right. Well, let's get the call started here because it's time. All right. Let's tell her. There she is. All right. I want to welcome everybody to the call. Tonight's discussion and tonight's topic that we're going to be talking about is what to do when you wake up. Now, I should be hearing all kinds of input from everybody out there on the Uber board. Okay, and those of you guys that are like, what's the Uber board? Is it going to drive me there or something? No, it's not going to drive you there. And it's not even a skateboard. What it is it's a conference board. So those of you guys that want to listen in, maybe with your telephones, maybe you have better service that way. It's a toll-free call, 1-888-570-7020. It's completely free. Promise, you don't have to join any memberships. You don't have to do anything. You just call. Just like when you call anybody else. You just call. That's it. And it's just that easy. So join us. You can join us there. Or those of you guys that are here in Facebook land and stuck in Facebook land. I'm kidding. No, those of you guys, some people like to just stay in Facebook land, and that's cool. If you guys have questions, you can just down there at the bottom, and I will do my best to answer them. So we certainly have enough people on the Uber board right now to have a lot of input as to what goes on when you wake up. What happens inside? Why does it happen? I'm sorry, I'm moving around because I'm trying to fix my lighting here. Thank you. Okay, so what happens? Well, what do you do when you find out that things are not what you thought they were? Right? A lot of us are waking up and learning, and those of you guys that have taken my debt class, you're learning that banking is not what you thought it was. Those of you guys that have taken the or the part of the debt class where we talk about foreclosures, you definitely are feeling that, right? You definitely know that things are really not exactly what they say they were. And what you find is that it's like a little thin layer of blubber of truth, and the rest of it's complete nonsense, and it's achieved without, sorry, I'm moving around again. It happens by tacit acceptance of the parties. And that's how most contracts in America today are put together. They're put together by tacit performance because their writing quality is garbage and they just want to get paid. And so when you hear the word discharge, okay, jeez, I'm like going out. The lights are going out in London over here. When you hear the word discharge means somebody got paid. So what do you do when you figure out that your W-2 is a Class 5 gift form and you're paying yourself to go to work? Yes, that's right. That's what's happening. They sent you so many bank credits and then they send you a 1099 or they sent you a W-2. Why? Because you're not doing your taxes, little cattle. You're doing their taxes. So what do you do when you figure all this stuff out? What do you do when you figure out that banks will go to any extreme to enforce their nonsense? Do you know what makes a great movie great? The effects, right? But you know what really makes the movie, what it makes it really pop? It's the special effects, okay? And special effects are a fiction, okay? And that's something that's created. This is why it's not fruitful for us to lie. Because unless you have like Universal Studios behind you and 40,000 actors to say, yep, that's what he did, you'd have to be like OJ. You just can't do it. You see? So what do you do when you figure all this stuff out? What do you do when you figure out that your courts are courts of equity and it has nothing to do with the best interest of your child or the best interest of you? I mean, what do you do when all this stuff happens? Well, there's a couple of groups out there. Holy cow, it keeps shifting. There's a couple of groups out there that have been a byproduct of this process. People wake up, and what do? They go run for the middle of nowhere, and they go live, and they put their head in the ground, and they say, that's it, I don't want any part of the fiction. Okay? You got that action that happens, okay? And then you've got, sorry, that wasn't a crash. That was somebody on the Uber board jumping on and off. No problem, though. So when you see stuff like that happening in your life, you need to pay attention. When you start seeing, and I guess for me, you know, as a child, I saw it as it was an opportunity. I was actually enticed with finding the fiction and the things that people would say, and most importantly, the things that people would say to me. Because what I found as a child was that people just lie to you all the time. And unfortunately, I had people in my life, and that's just what they did. And then, of course, I learned how to do it too, and that wasn't good either. But anyway, that's another story. So what's happened in this country is basically this. There's a whole lot of fiction going on, and there's a big majority of us that are sleepy. And they're not going to see none of this because they believe that the news and Facebook and Fox News and the other news and anybody else's news, they believe that these conglomerates have your best interest in mind. And I'm here to tell you that it could not be farther from the truth. I believe that there is a struggle going on in this country right now, and there's a struggle between good and evil. I believe there are things that are happening right now in our courts. I believe that our courts are deteriorating. They are participating in strong arm techniques just for favors for these attorneys. Yeah, I really do. As a matter of fact, I got some information today that was actually, it scared the living hoobie-doobie out of me in the beginning, but now I'm giggling about it because I got Peggy. If you got Peggy, you'll know what I'm talking about. But if you don't have Peggy, you won't know what I'm talking about. But I'm just saying I have Peggy. So after that, you know, and putting things into focus, I realized that this guy is pumping a big fat lie up, but he doesn't have Universal Studios behind him, but he's going to try to use the courts as his Universal Studios to make it believable. And we need to be careful of that. And so the reality is simply this. We live in a very selfish world. We live in a world where children do not respect their parents. That's a given, right? That's been going on for a minute. We live in a world where people are not faithful to their spouses. That's not my world, by the way. But we live in a world where it's common practice. We live in a world where things are different and exposures to things are different. You know, has anybody watched the Mendez trial recently? My wife and I were kind of watching it. You know, these guys were molested. Had that trial happened today, those guys would have been acquitted. But you know what? They're sitting in prison right now for life. Both of them. What happened? The people The people have failed. And because the people have failed, the government is failing. And it's important that those of you that are waking up right now, that you speak and learn how to speak. So let me tell you what I saw 6 years ago when I started waking up, because I told you guys I would tell you this, right? So 6 years ago, I'm doing two things. Well, I'm doing lots of things in my life, but the main thing I'm doing is I'm a landscaping contractor, and I am a musician. And my band and I, or the Damien Stalker Project, well, I haven't said that in a while, we practiced religiously, 2 to 3 days a week, 2 to 4 hours a session. And we just played into the night. And these guys were all very committed. I was very committed. We shelled out over 20 original songs and remakes in under 11 months. I know pro bands that aren't doing that. So things we're doing, I really thought in my heart, this is what I'd be doing for the rest of my life. I figured, I'll be playing music and because I started seeing things, and I started seeing how a court can abuse, can be abused, how a court process can be abused, and how these people can manipulate these things. And then what you realize is that they're not actually people anymore. They're not. They're in control of something else. Something else is in control. And they're demons, man. They're dark. And that's what you're dealing with when you're dealing. They're a bunch of pirates. Plain and simple. And they all just want to get paid. They don't give two craps about your child. Only when they're running. Which they ought to be running away. But only when they're running. And what I found is that all it takes is a little bit of money, and you don't have any more rights. And is that a new thing? No, but it's a thing that's becoming more and more and more common practice because of the disobedience of the people of this country. People that don't want to serve Yahweh. They don't want to serve his rules. They don't want to do what they just want to be in disobedience. Well, remember I was talking to you, those of you guys that got on the call earlier, I was talking to you, we have a world that has a lot of details. And in most cases, we have a lot of details because we have to have a lot of details because there's such a tenacity to sin or to circumvent processes. You hear what I'm saying? There is a tenacity. Look at how many personal lawsuits happen today versus yearly this year, okay, 2020 versus 1979. Way less. Way, way, way less. 50%, I think 50% of open air TV is nothing but attorney commercials. I think the Boy Scouts have got like 3 attorneys trying to chase down all the victims of all these pedophiles that I never saw. But maybe there was, I don't know, but not here. Not where I was at, not Troop 248. No. We were on point. And I went to many of those organizations and jubilees and met all kinds of scouts from around the country, and I never saw anything inappropriate ever. And I always paid attention to detail. So we have a lot of things going on. We have a lot of internal conflicts and wars and things like that are going on. Now, if we go back to our Bible, what does our Bible say? The Bible says, my son read it this weekend, as a matter of fact, he says in the end times, there's going to be wars and rumors of wars. But don't worry, because he'll sustain you to the very end, no matter what. We got people that are so entangled in the details right now that they compound their situation with more details. And then they make up some more extra details and they throw them in there too and take it down the street and try to sell it to somebody. And that's what we have going on in America right now. And you know what? That's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. But how did it happen? It happened because people just got caught up in the details, man. And, you guys that are waking up right now, I'm going to tell you I already talked to you about the first person that abandons the whole situation and says, I'm going to be a rebel. And turns into, what's his name? What is that guy's name? Keith. And they turn into Keith Little. There. Sorry, Keith, but that's what you turned into. Anyway, and there's still hope for Keith, and there's hope for everybody, okay? Because Keith can see some things. Not clearly, but he can see some things. How are we not seeing these things? Okay, so in 2015, I played my last show. I came back. I was starting to wake up to things. And Yahweh said, you're going to get in this RV and you're going to tell people about me. And he said it in such a voice, I can't even describe it, man. But I can tell you it was crippling. It was scary. No, scary is not even the word. If you took scary and like, and then again, that's scary. Like super scary. It took me a year, probably a year and a half, 2 years, to be able to tell this story and not just break down and cry in the middle of it. It was that commanding. It was that authoritative. And it was that totally real. And there are people in America right now that are waking up just the same way. And Yahweh is calling you. And he's telling you, hey man, what you saw was a rendition of what you were supposed to be doing in that church, maybe. Okay? Depending on your experience, of course. But, for me, that's what he's told me. He says, you were pretty close, but that just wasn't quite the real deal. And I said, Lord, how do I do it? He said, just abide in me and I'll abide in you. Well, what does that mean? It means to be obedient. I said, okay. And then from that point on, he changed my life, man. He made me softer. I stopped yelling at my wife. I stopped yelling and cussing at my kids. Oh my gosh, I was terrible. I was like a trucker. I know you'd never would have thought, right? Yeah, I was terrible. But Yahweh took that and he made it what it is today. And I'm very grateful for that. So those of you guys that are waking up and you're seeing these things happening, okay? Look, the news is lying to you. There, end of story, okay? And it starts with the weatherman. Those are the biggest false prophets ever. I think that they put the weatherman in, honestly, just like to break him in. Kind of like when you get like a crappy football team and you tell them to go play the University of Texas and so they could just beat the snot out of them and make them feel better. Yeah, I really do. I think honestly that's the situation. I think they just threw the weatherman in there so people just get used to lying to them. Maybe that's why they make those weather girls so pretty. My phone was whistling. Maybe that's why they make those weather girls so pretty. So you'll just be looking at them and they'll just lie to you and you'll be like, okay, it's going to rain. It's going to snow. Oh my God, it's a tornado, Bobby. It's coming. Let's buy all the beer and cigarettes we can. Right? And then they all run out and then nothing happens. This happens a lot in Texas. All the news has to do is go poof and everybody goes and buys all the beer and ice. Doesn't matter what kind of an emergency it is. In San Antonio, that's how they get down. Whatever the problem is, we can kill it with ice and beer. That's it. That's what's happening right now. We got all kinds of things happening here. But I'm going to tell you that people are not dropping like flies. Our hospitals are not overrun with the needy and the sick and the infected. And they're not, and it's not like, save the children over here. Okay. And I don't think that it's like save the children like anywhere, but I think that there's a cloud of fear that's moving. And can I tell you guys something? The Bible says that God has not given us a spirit of fear. That means if he hasn't given you that spirit of fear, where did that spirit of fear come from? Are you taking financial advice from a hobo? Are you doing that again? That's what it is. That's what you're doing. So remember, the same people that are telling you guys that these masks will save you, let's just look at the facts. Number one, this is part of the things that we're waking up to. Number one, if the masks were working so well, how come the cases doubled after we wore the mask? I'm just saying. So we have to think. And can I tell you, a fool that is self-centered and thinks about himself is only looking at himself. He's only looking to protect himself. The one that serves Yahweh, He's going to give you the vision to see everything that you need to see. And whatever you don't see, he's going to make it better. So let's talk about the other stuff that's changing, okay? Because now we know the coronavirus. I've said my spill. It's out of my system. Let's move on. So let's talk about some of the other things that go on. Let's talk about loans. They're not what you think they are. They're not. Go ask your bank. Do you think there's a reason that your banks are locked up right now? Most people's banks are locked up right now. Most people, and if you'll notice that the banks that are open, there's like lines, right? So they're trying to control the flow of those people. Why are they trying to control the flow of those people? It's not because of coronavirus. That's not why. It's because they're conditioning these people because they don't want to get panicked. They don't want to get overrun with people, okay? And what that tells me is if they're conditioning themselves and prepping themselves for a potential rush of people to come in and, I don't know, put pantyhose over their head, whatever they do, okay? And or do something like that. If that's what they're preparing for, then what's really going to happen? What are they going to do? What's the market going to do? These are the things that we need to be looking at. Those of you guys that are waking up right now, those of you guys that are taking note of things, take note of this. Look around. Do you see? Most of the banks will not let you in their lobbies. They will not. Because the whole world is infected with bank employees because they can be together and it's good. They don't even wear masks in there anymore. Nope. I was in Pioneer Bank today. Didn't see any masks there. I was in BB&T. I was in 2 locations at BB&T today. No masks in there either. And, I mean, well, I take it back. They had them down. But, you know, once they're off the intercom, then things ain't on. I'm just saying that. Okay, so I don't get anybody in trouble because I love my people at BB&T. But still, things are changing. Accounts, ladies and gentlemen, accounts that you're not using, they're being closed immediately. That happened. I had a bank account I wasn't really using, you know, just kind of had some money in there, and try to put some money into that account. And I'm telling you, 10 years ago, if you would have put money into that account or did an electronic transfer, that would have automatically reopened the account. Why? Because the number is the number and you can't share the number with anybody else. So then that number just gets like a little title next to it and that's it. But guess what happens today in 2020? Oh no, Mr. Damron, you're going to have to come in and open up a new account. Well, what about the money that got sent there? Well, it's going to be rejected and sent back. Whoa, that doesn't happen. It's because something else is happening. That's right. So, could we guess? Yes, we could guess. We could guess till Guess Jeans prints out 4 more new colors of jeans, okay, if we wanted to. But guessing is not going to get it done. Can I tell you that? It is totally not going to get it done. Wow, it's raining like you know what out here. It's totally not going to get it done. So what's going to get it done? Obedience. If you want to know this process, you can take my classes. That's right. I got some classes and you can learn some things. But if you really, really, really want to know this process, can I tell you, 80% of this process is your obedience and submission to Yahweh. That's 80% of this process. If you don't want to do what Yahweh wants to do, you know what, man, then just go do your thing, man. Go buy a new car. Go buy some toilet paper. Go do that. It's good. Because there's a place for those people. And it's not going to be a good place. You know, I listened today to a gentleman today that spoke about, and these are things that are going on, okay? So it's still relevant. But he spoke about death, you know, when you die, okay? And it talked about the eternal death. And that means you're done. That means you're out. You don't get to live forever. Nobody does. Well, not nobody. But the people that don't make it don't get to make it. They go to the lake of fire and it's over. And let me tell you, man, those days are coming, man, and they are very, very, very near. And we need to fear. We need to fear for our families. We need to fear for ourselves. And we need to, most importantly, fear the Lord. Because He's not happy. Look at what we've been doing. Look at all this pedophilia that's been exposed all over America. Can you believe it? We have Joe Biden running for president. He's like the poster child for... I bet you Jeffrey Epstein's got Polaroids with this dude, but doing all kinds of inappropriate things. Because, the media has definitely caught him doing all kinds of inappropriate things with clothes on. And look, he's running for president. Last term, or the term before President Trump, we had 2 dudes in the office. And people believed it. No, she's a girl. Yeah, okay. No. You need to go back to health class. So these things are happening and these deceptions are happening. So how are we going to see clearly? And earlier I said this was my selected reading. This was my reading this week. You put stuff like this in your life, and you have this stuff in your life, and you read this stuff. But most importantly, you need to live it. Now, don't live it and be weird, okay? You need to understand that this is a commerce issue. Yes, everything is commerce. Everything's commerce. Marriage is commerce. Kids is commerce. Commerce. The courthouse here in San Antonio, it's on Commerce. In Dallas, the courthouse is on Commerce Street. And in Houston, it's on Commerce Street too. Yes, I know they have other ones too. But my point is this. It's all about commerce. So here's the deal. You can learn who you are, and you can start managing your state and who you are, or you can continue to let these people do it for you, and they're going to make you starve. These people do not have your best interest in mind, okay? And they're not good keepers. They're not. They're going to put you in different places. Those of you that are waking up, did you know that we're all put into different buckets? Did you know that here in San Antonio, that's right, here in San Antonio, and I heard this from an educator directly. She told me that Common Core is taught only on the south side of town. One district, south side of town. And those of you guys that live in San Antonio, you will know that the south side of town is a low-income part of town. Well, what's Common Core, Tim? Common Core is something that teaches children to just follow orders in a nutshell. Don't understand what you're doing. Doesn't matter how we get 3 minus 4. It matters how you get there. So we're in trouble. But wait a minute. What about everybody else? They got taught the 7 plus 3 and just like we did, right? Well, what do you think that does? That separates the classes. That's right. That's the difference between a child being born with a 400 beacon and another child being born with a 700 beacon. And can I tell you, the one with the 700 beacon is going to have more opportunity. He's going to have more credit available and an easier ability to get hired and a better ability to get hired, and he'll have a more likelihood of going to a circuit or circuit college, a good college, versus the Common Core guy. The Common Core guy is going to end up in trade school somewhere. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with trade school, unless that's not something you want to do. Unless somebody else is getting an opportunity to look at different flowers and different choices that you don't have that opportunity. See, that's not fair. And part of living in this republic is having that equality among men. This is why this commercial law thing is so important. I want you guys to really read up on this stuff and get, and understand it, and don't read a couple sentences and lose your mind and go, oh my God, and go tell everybody. Just chill out for a second and read it all. And really spend some time with the Lord and ask Him to help you. Ask Him to show you. And you know what? If you do that, here's what He'll do, because He did it for me. He will just start peeling off layers of that onion. He'll start sending people to your life. Okay? And not one person is going to show up and tell you everything. He's going to send a bunch of people, because that's what happened to me. And then He'll send some guru or a book that's going to come by and say, hey, You did it right, son. That's how you're supposed to do it. Good job. And you know, no matter what comes your way, no matter what trial, no matter how much bread becomes, no matter what part of Revelation comes knocking on your front door, you will have a stay. And you won't have to be part of that. And Yahweh will be there for you. He will vindicate for you. And you know what? That's what he does. That's why he loves us so much. And right now, the doors are closing. Not just in our economy, but the doors are closing for a lot of us, because quite literally, we're not going to live forever. So really, we're all running out of time. Some of us have a lot of time. Some of us got a little bit of time. I don't know who you are. I don't know who you are or where you are in that process. But you need to know where you are in that process. Are you building here? Or are you building up there? How do you build up there, Tim? You do it in here, and it manifests out here, and you talk to people, and you help people. You don't give people money necessarily, but you help people. And if it means giving them money, if it means giving them provision, then you help them. Because then you're in line to receive that. You're in line to receive it, okay? And I don't know, I'm not trying to sound like Robert Tilton here or anything, okay? Because I don't want any of your money today, okay? I'm not asking for money. But what I'm telling you is if you make that opportunity and you pay it forward and you do it with the heart of God, not just do it because I'm a robot and I'm just going through the motions, but it's part of your being. It's part of who you are. You're on your way. Well, what if it's not part of my being? I had a rough childhood. You know, I got a mountain of excuses this high of why I'm hardcore. Well, then give those excuses to Yahweh. Ask him and see what he thinks about them. And you know what he's going to do? He's going to test every one of them. Every one of your excuses will be tested. And some of them will disappear completely in the fire, man. And you know what? That's a cleansing. Yeah, that's a cleansing. And you know what? You could get there too. So all of us have a different path. It just depends on where we come from. So those of you guys that are waking up, if you're starting to understand that this country's been in bankruptcy for like forever, and we don't have any money, and we haven't had any money since like they killed Kennedy. We haven't had any money since then. And I say that not as I'm laughing, I say that because I'm sad. I laugh because I'm sad, actually, because, you know, he made a stand to some degree, you know, but he was half crooked somewhere else, so I'm sure he was. Who knows? You know, I don't really know. I wasn't around, I shouldn't say. But I do know that he made a stand against the Federal Reserve, and the Federal Reserve responded back with Mr. Bush's help, and they took him right out. And with that, they took all of our silver away from us. So we don't have any lawful money. All we have is this paper. How do you manage that? How does all that work? How does your life really change? Or do you put the slave collar on and just go back to work? I couldn't do it. I tried. I did. I really tried. I tried to operate my business, and I tried to go back to work. And hey, William, how you doing, buddy? And I tried to do it, but these things, yeah, I felt like my time was worth so much more and it needed to be in other places. And I'm going to tell you that is just part of Yahweh's greatness. He's so good to us, and he's such a blessing. So I want you guys to understand, those of you guys that are waking up right now, those of you guys that understand what I'm saying and you're nodding your heads right now in your chairs, that guy's, he knows what I'm talking about, right? Yeah, well, it's because I'm listening to him. And if you're hearing him, you need to move on it. If you're hearing Yahweh speak in your world, and you see things that these other people don't see, you have an obligation to move. Yeshua says, I stand at the door and I knock. Really, quite literally, sometimes. Okay? And are you going to let him in? Is your house not in order? He doesn't care. Come as you are. He'll get your house in order. All he wants you to do is be obedient. Kind of like living with your parents. Remember when mom and dad would just take care of everything, and all you had to do was take out the trash and do your homework and cut the grass and whatever else mom wanted you to do, right? And everything was cool. You know what? Yahweh is exactly almost the same way, except he doesn't make you take out the trash. Well, actually he does, but not literally. But it's kind of the same way. If we get under him and we get under those parts of him and we just get obedient, you know what? Things will change. Things will change in your life. Those of you guys that are interested in separating yourselves from your legal fiction and your estate and learning how to control your estate, I teach this process. If this is something you're interested in doing, it's very inexpensive, but it's worth so much more. Let me know. Send me an instant message. I'll be happy to let you know when the next class comes around, or if you want to take a regular class. If you just want to take a regular class, where basically we send you a link from a pre-recorded class from, you can go to our website, which is houseofyahcommunityoutreach.com, and you can go on and log on to any of the classes, and basically we send you a copy of the class that was taught, and there's questions and all kinds of stuff that happens in there. But I go through all the documents, I go through all the templates, and basically that's what we do, is we just go through all that stuff, and so that you can get on your journey and you can get separated, if that's something you wish to do. Those of you guys that have other things that are going on in your lives, I just encourage you guys to embrace them and embrace the change that's coming, because you know what? That's all you can do. It's going to come. It's here. The Bible says it's coming. It's coming. Proverbs says it's coming. It's coming. And, with that being said, that's just where we need to be as people. And what do we do on this election? Man, I don't know. Pray about it. God will tell his people what to do, and he will tell us all what to do. So we won't need to discuss it if we're plugged into him. Just do what he wants you to do. That's going to be the easier way to go. Tonight, I'm going to close the call. I'm not going to have any question and answer tonight. Sorry, guys, no Q&A tonight. But I do want to pray for all of you tonight. If you could just bow your heads with me. Father in heaven, I just thank you for this opportunity to serve you, to praise you, and to give you the most honor and glory above all things, Father. I pray for the hearts that are here today and the hearts that are listening later on. And I pray that you just move in a mighty way in their hearts. And I pray that you speak to them, Father, just like you spoke to me. And I pray that you just water that seed, Father, so that they may grow in you and be tools, so they may be used for your glory, Father. We thank you for all that is good, because you are good. And we give you praise, honor, and glory. Amen. Amen. You guys have a wonderful week. God bless you. I'll see you next week. We're going to have a great Q&A discussion next week. Students, if you have any questions and you weren't able to ask them tonight, just go ahead and send me an instant message, and I'll answer them as best as possible. Or you can hit us up on the Freedom page. You can always ask your questions there too. So anyway, God bless everybody. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.